He made her kneel and clean wine off his jacket in front of 200 people. She planned the spill. She's a journalist. Her sister has his financial records. His business partner is FBI. And those screens behind him just turned on. Maya Rodriguez's hands are steady and methodical, polishing silverware until each fork gleams like a small weapon. She works in the industrial kitchen of Belmont Estate, where steam rises from pots and the head chef's voice cuts through the chaos like a cleaver through bone. She's done this. 3 years of invisible labor, of yes, chef, and right away, sir, of becoming wallpaper in a place where the wealthy come to feel good about themselves. But Maya Rodriguez is not wallpaper. She is 32, with dark hair pulled into a severe bun. The kind of face that could be anyone's. That's the point. In the world of luxury catering, invisibility is currency, and Maya has made herself rich in it. She moves through the kitchen with practiced efficiency, but her eyes are cataloging, recording, remembering. A glance at the clock, 6:47 p.m. The gala begins in 13 minutes. This is her last shift, though no one here knows that yet. No one knows much of anything about Maya Rodriguez, and that's exactly how she's planned it. In the service hallway, away from the kitchen's fluorescent glare, she pulls out her phone. An encrypted message tonight. Everything ready. The response comes immediately, a simple check mark. She exhales slowly, pockets the phone, and there's a slight tremor in her hands. Not from fear, from anticipation. Because Maya Rodriguez is not a waitress. She's a journalist. Investigative. The kind who doesn't just report the news, but excavates it from places people hide their sins. And for 3 years, she's been digging in the most unlikely place. Right here in plain sight, behind an apron and a forgettable face. The estate itself sprawls before the arriving guests, a gleaming monument to old money and new corruption. The Belmont Estate, 20,000 square feet of marble and crystal, gardens that require a full-time staff of 6, a ballroom that's hosted presidents and princes. Tonight, it will host approximately 200 guests who've paid $5,000 per plate to celebrate the Children's Future Fund, the philanthropic darling of billionaire James Ashford. Here's what those guests don't know. Maya owns this building. She bought it 2 years ago through an LLC so buried in paperwork that even Ashford's lawyers, and he has 12 of them, never noticed. Every camera in this building, every security feed, every microphone hidden in light fixtures and smoke detectors, she installed them. Legally, it's her property. She can surveil whatever she wants on her own property. And what she surveilled would make your blood run cold. The ballroom fills with the kind of people whose names you'd recognize from Forbes lists and political donor rolls. They arrive in German cars and Italian suits, air-kissing and networking, performing the elaborate theater of charitable giving. The room itself is a vision, ice sculptures melting slowly into oblivion, flower arrangements that cost more than most people's monthly rent, champagne flowing like water, because when you're this rich, you can afford to drown in excess. And there, at the center of it all, is James Ashford. 63 years old, silver-haired, with the kind of smile that sells magazines and launches political careers. He works the room like a conductor leading an orchestra. Every gesture calculated, every laugh calibrated. People lean toward him, hungry for his approval. They compete for his attention like children vying for a parent's love. Maya watches from her station by the service entrance. Her face reveals nothing, but her grip on the champagne tray tells another story. Knuckles white, jaw set. This is the man she studied for 3 years. This is the monster in a bespoke suit. Ashford snaps his fingers at Maya without even turning his head. A gesture so casual it's almost unconscious. She brings him champagne. He takes it without acknowledgement, without even registering her face. To him, she's furniture that moves. A function, not a person. If he'd looked closer, he might have seen the fury in her eyes. If he'd paid attention, he might have saved himself. But men like James Ashford never pay attention to the help. Maya retreats to the bathroom, staff bathroom, not the marble palace the guests use. Here, finally alone, she allows herself a moment. She checks the recording device hidden in her apron pocket. Green light. Active. Then she pulls out a small compact mirror, but she's not checking her makeup. Behind the mirror is a tiny screen showing feeds from 6 different cameras she's placed throughout the venue. She cycles through them: kitchen, hallway, Ashford's private dining room, the room where he takes his important calls. 3 years of footage, 3 years of evidence. Her coworker, Maria, enters, catches Maya with the device. For a moment, silence hangs between them. Maria's worked here longer than Maya. 5 years of watching Ashford treat staff like property. She's a single mother of 2, working double shifts to afford rent in a city that's pricing out everyone who actually makes it function. "You okay?" Maria asks quietly. "Last shift," Maya says, slipping the device back into her pocket. "Just want it done." Maria's face shows concern mixed with something else, suspicion maybe, or hope. "Did you find another job?" Maya's smile doesn't reach her eyes. Something like that. Maria knows something's happening. She can feel it. But Maya's already moving past her, back into the fray, and the moment passes. Maya's sister, Elena Rodriguez, stands in an empty community center that was, until recently, vibrant with life. Elena's nonprofit served 300 at-risk kids in East Oakland, after-school programs, tutoring, meals for families who needed them. The walls are covered with children's artwork, handprints in paint, and dreams rendered in crayon. But the lights are off now. The chairs are stacked. Elena holds a piece of paper, a bankruptcy notice, and her hands shake as she shows it to Maya. "Our donors left us," Elena says, and her voice breaks on the words. "They all moved their money to Ashford's charity. The Children's Future Fund. Everyone wants to be part of it. It's trendy. It's glamorous. She can't finish. "We're done, Maya. Those kids have nowhere to go." Maya takes the paper, reads it. Something hardens in her face. A decision is being made. A line is being crossed. "He took everything," Elena whispers. And that's when Maya's investigation truly began. The gala is in full swing now, and Ashford takes the stage. Spotlights make him glow like he's been touched by something divine. The crowd quiets, anticipation building. This is what they came for. The performance of generosity, the theater of doing good. "Ladies and gentlemen," Ashford begins, and his voice carries the practiced warmth of a man who's given this speech 1,000 times. 3 years ago, I had a vision. A world where every child, regardless of circumstance, could reach their full potential. Maya stands at the periphery, watching, waiting. Tonight, I'm proud to announce that the Children's Future Fund has raised $40 million. Applause erupts. People stand. Champagne glasses clink in celebration. $40 million that will change lives, build futures, create opportunities. Maya's face remains perfectly neutral, but a single tear slides down her cheek. Not from joy, from rage so profound it's transcended into something colder, harder. Because she knows the truth. She knows the Children's Future Fund is a lie. She knows those $40 million are being laundered through offshore accounts, filtered through shell companies, used to enrich Ashford and his inner circle while actual children's charities, like Elena's, collapse from lack of funding. She knows because she spent 3 years documenting it. And tonight, she's going to prove it. Maya moves now, purposeful. She approaches Ashford's table with a fresh tray of wine, weaving through the crowd, waiters and guests, power and service, a whole ecosystem of hierarchy playing out in real time. She's almost there when it happens. A guest, planted, we'll learn later, bumps into her. Not hard, just enough. The tray tilts and red wine arcs through the air in slow motion, a crimson wave that crashes against James Ashford's $5,000 jacket. The ballroom seems to inhale. Ashford explodes. "You clumsy." The slur that follows makes nearby guests flinch. Racist, vicious, the kind of thing that reveals what someone really thinks when the mask slips. "This is why you people can't." He stops himself, but it's too late. The words hang in the air like poison gas. Maya immediately drops to her knees, apologizing profusely, grabbing napkins, and dabbing at his jacket. Her performance is perfect, subservient, mortified, desperate to fix this. The crowd watches, uncomfortable but silent. No one intervenes. No one calls him out. They just watch as a powerful man humiliates a waitress for an accident. But this was no accident. As Maya cleans his jacket, her hands move with precision. She's not just cleaning. She's planting something. A tiny device, smaller than a dime, slips under his lapel and adheres there. A micro-recorder, the final piece of her surveillance network. Security starts moving toward her, two large men in suits who've been trained to handle situations. But Ashford waves them off with a cruel smile. "No," he says. "Let her clean it. I want everyone to see what incompetence looks like." The humiliation is intentional, public, designed to remind everyone in this room of their place in the hierarchy. Maya stays on her knees, continuing to dab at wine that's already stained deep into expensive fabric. And that's when Richardson approaches, Ashford's business partner and tonight's gala co-host. Mid-50s, distinguished, with the kind of quiet authority that doesn't need to announce itself. "James," Chin says carefully, "leave her alone. We have guests." Ashford turns on him, irritation flashing across his face. "Stay out of this, Richard. You're too soft. That's why you'll never." He doesn't finish, but the implication hangs there. Richardson will never be as successful, as powerful, as ruthless as James Ashford because he has the weakness of empathy. Chen's jaw tightens, but he says nothing more. Maya finishes, stands, and backs away with her head bowed. She makes eye contact across the ballroom, just for a second, with someone in the AV booth. A tiny nod, so small that if you blinked, you'd miss it. Then she disappears into the shadows of the service corridors, becoming invisible once more. Ashford straightens his jacket, smoothing the damp fabric, already dismissing the incident. He returns to the stage, to his speech, to the performance. The device under his lapel is invisible, forgotten. He has no idea what's coming. In the hallway now, alone, finally, Maya breathes hard. She leans against the wall, and for the first time, we see the weight of what she's carrying. 3 years of lies. 3 years of watching this man destroy lives while being celebrated for saving them. 3 years of biting her tongue, swallowing her rage, becoming someone else. But it ends tonight. She straightens, smooths her apron, and walks back toward the ballroom. She pauses in the doorway. Beyond, Ashford is mid-sentence, the crowd hanging on his every word. He's talking about hope, about children, about building a better world. And Maya Rodriguez, invisible waitress, secret owner, undercover journalist, watches him with the patience of someone who's been hunting for 3 long years. The trap is set. Now comes the spring. The ballroom hums with self-satisfied energy. James Ashford stands at the podium like a king surveying his kingdom, basking in applause that rolls through the crowd in waves. These people love him. They believe in him. They've written checks with his name on them, attached their reputations to his charity, and told their friends about the good work being done. They have no idea they've been funding a lie. Ashford continues his speech, voice warm and practiced. And with your continued generosity, we'll reach even more children in underserved communities. Your donations don't just change lives, they save them. Maya stands in the shadows near the service entrance, perfectly still. From here, she can see everything. The guests are leaning forward in their seats. The cameras are recording for the charity's promotional materials. Richardson is at the head table, watching Ashford with an expression that's difficult to read. And the screens. 3 massive LED screens flanking the stage, currently displaying the Children's Future Fund logo, a child's handprint reaching toward the sun. Inspirational. Hopeful. Fake. Maya touches her earpiece. Whispers a single word. Now. The screens flicker. It's subtle at first, just a momentary distortion that might be a technical glitch. A few guests notice, but most are still focused on Ashford. He pauses mid-sentence, glancing at the screens with mild annoyance. Technical difficulties, he says with a practiced chuckle. Even at a $5,000 plate event, apparently. Polite laughter from the crowd. Someone in the back calls out, "We'll donate extra to cover it." More laughter. Ashford grins, opening his mouth to continue. And then his own voice fills the ballroom. But it's not the voice he's using now. This voice is different, cold, calculating, stripped of its philanthropic veneer. It comes from the speakers with perfect clarity, every word cutting through the space like a blade. These idiots will donate to anything with children in the name. Just keep the stories emotional, poverty, disease, dead parents. They eat that shit up. Route everything through the Cayman account. No one checks. The ballroom freezes. Every face turns toward the screens. Ashford's face drains of color, his mouth opening and closing soundlessly. He looks like a man watching his own execution. The screens come alive. What follows is a carefully edited montage, 2 minutes that feel like an eternity. Maya has spent 3 years collecting this footage, and she's curated it with the precision of a prosecutor building an ironclad case. First, Ashford in the kitchen 6 months ago, screaming at a young dishwasher who dropped a plate. The slurs that come out of his mouth make guests gasp. The dishwasher can't be more than 19, and he crumples under the verbal assault. Then Ashford's hand shoots out, shoving the kid against the counter hard enough that he bounces. Second, a meeting in Ashford's private dining room. The health inspector sits across from him, and between them on the table is an envelope. Cash, clearly visible. Ashford's voice, recorded from the device Maya planted in the centerpiece. "I trust this takes care of any concerns about our kitchen standards?" The inspector's hand closes over the envelope. "What concerns?" Third, a young server, a woman, barely 25, cornered by Ashford in the hallway outside the bathrooms. His hand on her waist, sliding lower. Her body language screams discomfort, pulling away, hands coming up defensively. His voice laughing, "Don't be like that. You want good shifts, don't you?" Her face when she thinks no one can see her, shame, fear, rage all mixed together. Fourth, the smoking gun. Ashford is in his office with his accountant, spreading papers across the desk. Bank statements, offshore accounts, transfer records. The accountant's voice, "The charity brings in about $4 million a year now. After the Cayman transfers and the shell company fees, you're clearing about $2.8 million in personal income." Ashford, leaning back in his chair, satisfied. "And it's untraceable?" The accountant, completely. The beauty of nonprofit structures. No one audits the good guys. Silence fills the ballroom like water flooding a sinking ship. 200 people sit frozen, champagne glasses halfway to lips, forks suspended over plates of food that suddenly seem obscene in their excess. The screens return to black, but the images remain burned into everyone's retinas. Someone's phone is out, already recording. Then another. Then a dozen. The footage that took Maya 3 years to collect will be on social media in minutes, going viral before Ashford can even process what's happening. The billionaire philanthropist stands at the podium, exposed. Every carefully constructed piece of his public persona has just been detonated in front of the very people he needed to maintain the illusion. His face cycles through emotions too quickly to track. Shock, rage, panic, calculation. He's searching for an exit, an explanation, a way to spin this. There isn't one. Ashford's hands grip the podium, knuckles white. When he speaks, his voice has lost all its warmth. Now it's just naked fury. This is doctored footage. A smear campaign. I don't know who's responsible, but I will find out, and I will. He stops, because he's just spotted Maya. She stepped out of the shadows now, moved into the light. She's removed her apron, and somehow that simple action changes everything about her. The invisible waitress has become visible. She stands in the center aisle, 20 feet from the stage, and every eye in the ballroom turns to her. Ashford's finger shoots out, pointing at her like a weapon. You did this. Security, get her out of. Security starts moving, but Maya doesn't flinch. She stands perfectly still, and when she speaks, her voice carries through the ballroom with an authority that stops everyone in their tracks. You're not going anywhere, Mr. Ashford. He stares at her, truly seeing her for the first time. Recognition flickers, not of who she is, but of what she represents. A threat. Someone who knows. Get out of my way, he snarls, starting down from the stage. Or I'll have you arrested for what? Maya's voice is steady, calm. 3 years of preparation have led to this moment, and she's not rushing it. Trespassing? Illegal surveillance. Ashford's moving toward the exit now, security flanking him. The crowd parts like water. No one's intervening. No one's defending him. They're all just watching, phones out, recording the collapse of a carefully built empire. Maya moves to block his path. It's a bold move. A woman half his size stepping in front of a billionaire having a meltdown. But she doesn't look afraid. She looks like someone who's been waiting 3 years for this exact moment. I own this building, she says. The words hang in the air. Ashford stops, stares at her. What? Belmont Estate. I purchased it 2 years ago through an LLC. Dakota Holdings, if you want to look it up. Every camera in this building is mine. Every recording device. Every piece of surveillance equipment. All legal. All admissible. Because it's my property and I can monitor my own property however I want. The implications crash over Ashford's face like a wave. He's been coming here for years. Private dinners, business meetings, secret conversations he thought were confidential. All of it recorded. All of it documented. All of it hers. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Someone whispers she owns it. Another voice. She's been recording everything. A third. Oh my God, what else does she have? Ashford's lawyer instincts kick in. He straightens, pulling together the shreds of his authority. You can't. That's illegal surveillance. Entrapment. Whatever recordings you have, they'll never hold up in court. My legal team will. Your legal team will find that every camera was disclosed in the rental agreement you signed. Maya's voice cuts through his bluster like a scalpel. Section 47, subsection C. Premises may be monitored for security purposes. You initialed it. Twice. She pulls a document from her pocket. She's been carrying it all night, waiting for this moment. Holds it up so he can see his own signature. Ashford's face contorts. The mask is completely off now. This is who he really is, not the philanthropist, not the savior of children, but a man who's been caught and knows it. His voice drops to something dangerous. You're finished. You're finished. Do you understand what you've done? I have friends, judges, senators, people who actually matter in this world. You're just some nobody with a camera. My lawyers will bury you so deep you'll. James. Richard Chen's voice cuts through the tirade. He's standing now at the head table, and something in his tone makes everyone turn. Even Ashford stops mid-sentence. Chin steps down from the dais, moving with deliberate calm. His hand goes inside his jacket, and for a moment, the entire ballroom tenses. But what he pulls out isn't a weapon. It's a badge. Federal. FBI. The gold shield catches the light, official and undeniable. The ballroom seems to tilt. Reality is reshaping itself too quickly for anyone to process. Special Agent Richard Chun, he says, voice-carrying authority that comes from actual power, not just money. Mr. Ashford, you're under arrest for wire fraud, money laundering, and racketeering under the RICO Act. The words fall like hammer blows. All around the ballroom, wait staff begin moving, but they're not clearing tables anymore. They're shedding their black vests and white shirts, revealing FBI windbreakers underneath. 16 agents positioned throughout the venue, all converged on the center of the room. Some have their hands on weapons, though none are drawn yet. The exits, all of them, are blocked by federal agents. This wasn't just a takedown. It was a raid. And everyone here is a witness. Maya stares at Chun, at Special Agent Chun, and her face shows genuine shock. She had no idea. 3 years of preparation, 3 years of investigation, and she never knew there was another player on the board. Chin catches her expression and nods slightly. An acknowledgement, maybe even respect. Ms. Rodriguez, he says formally, your surveillance provided crucial evidence for our RICO case. Evidence we couldn't have obtained through traditional warrants. Your documentation filled gaps in our investigation that would have taken years to compile. Ashford's looking between them, his mind working frantically. You're working together? This is a conspiracy. This is entrapment. You can't. We were working together, Chin says calmly. 2 agents are approaching Ashford now, handcuffs ready. Ms. Rodriguez conducted her investigation independently. I was embedded in your organization for 18 months. We were running parallel investigations. Ashford backs up, but there's nowhere to go. He's surrounded by agents, by guests with phones recording every second, by the wreckage of his own lies. His voice rises, panic bleeding through the anger. This is circumstantial evidence. Bad recordings. You have nothing that will stand up in court. My legal team will shred this in hours. I'll be out by morning, and both of you will spend years in litigation while I destroy everything you. The elevator dings. In the chaos, the sound is almost incongruous. Everyone turns toward it, a Pavlovian response to the unexpected. The doors slide open with mechanical precision, and Elena Rodriguez steps out. She's carrying a briefcase, professional attire, not the casual clothes of someone who should be in Sacramento. She moves into the ballroom with the confidence of someone who belongs here, who has every right to be here. Maya's face goes white. Elena. Her voice cracks on the name. What are you? You're supposed to be in Sacramento. You said you had what are you doing here? Elena's eyes find Ashford. She smiles, and it's a smile that carries 3 years of grief, rage, and calculated patience. Hello, James, she says quietly. We need to talk about the money you offered me. Ashford's face shows confusion for just a moment. Who is this woman? Before recognition dawns. And with recognition comes the sick understanding of just how badly he's miscalculated. Maya's staring at her sister, and behind her eyes, you can see the calculations happening. The pieces are clicking into place. The realization that she wasn't the only one hunting. Elena sets the briefcase on a nearby table, opens it with a decisive click. Inside, ledgers, flash drives, photographs, bank statements. Years of documentation, organized with the precision of someone who knows exactly what they're doing. Who the hell are you? Ashford demands. Elena Rodriguez, she says, pulling documents from the case. 3 years ago, You bankrupted my nonprofit, the Children's Harbor Foundation. We serve 300 at-risk kids in East Oakland. After your charity launched, every one of our major donors redirected their funds to you. We folded within 8 months. She approaches Ashford, holding up a photograph. This was our last day. 93 kids were standing in front of a building that was about to close. 93 kids who lost their after-school programs, their tutoring, their hot meals. You did that. Ashford's mouth opens, but no sound comes out. 6 months after we closed, Elena continues, your head of operations, David Marsh, approached me, offered me $50,000 to stay quiet about budget irregularities I might have noticed in your charity's financial disclosures. She pulls out a recording device, sets it on the table. I took the money, and I recorded him offering it. Every word. Every detail about how your organization identifies potential whistleblowers and buys their silence. Maya's staring at her sister like she's never seen her before. Elena. Then I applied for a job with your accounting firm, Elena says to Ashford, ignoring her sister. Listed myself as a nonprofit financial consultant. You hired me 6 months ago. Gave me access to everything because I came with a recommendation from David Marsh, and why would you suspect someone you'd already paid off? She spreads documents across the table. Bank statements, offshore accounts, shell company registrations, transfer receipts, a paper trail so detailed and damning that Ashford physically recoils from it. I built your financial house of cards, Elena says softly. And I documented how you built it first. Every transaction since 2019. Every donor dollar that disappeared into the Cayman accounts. Every child story you exploited for donations that never reached actual children. Agent Chen steps forward, examining the documents. His face remains neutral, but something flickers in his eyes. Recognition. This is what he's been looking for. Ms. Rodriguez has been working with our financial crimes unit for 4 months, Chin says. This documentation provides the direct evidence we needed for the money laundering charges. Combined with your sister's surveillance, we have both the financial trail and the behavioral evidence. It's airtight. Ashford lunges at Elena. He moves fast, surprising for a man his age, hands reaching for her throat. Face contorted with rage, so pure it's almost primal. But he makes it 3 steps before agents tackle him. 2 of them hit him simultaneously, driving him to the ground hard enough that the impact reverberates through the ballroom. Guests scream. Chairs scrape back. Someone's crying. Ashford's on the marble floor, face pressed against the stone that probably costs more per square foot than most people's monthly rent. Agents pin his arms, and the handcuffs snap closed with a sound like bones breaking. Add assault to the charges, Chin says calmly, as if this sort of thing happens every day. Maybe in his world it does. They haul Ashford to his feet. His jacket is torn, his carefully styled hair disheveled. He's breathing hard, eyes wild, the polish completely stripped away. This is James Ashford with no masks left, just a frightened, furious man who's lost everything. Maya crosses the ballroom. Guests move aside, creating a path. She stops in front of Ashford, close enough that he could spit on her if agents weren't holding him. Close enough that she can see the broken blood vessels in his eyes, smell the fierce sweat cutting through his expensive cologne. She pulls off her server's vest. Underneath, she's wearing a press credential on a lanyard. New York Times Investigative Unit. Her real name. Her real identity. Maya Rodriguez, she says. Investigative journalist. The documentary featuring everything you just saw, plus about 40 hours of additional footage, goes live in approximately 4 minutes on PBS, CNN, MSNBC, and streaming on 3 major platforms. She holds up her phone. The screen shows a live counter, 47,238 viewers. I've been live streaming this entire arrest, she says. Your takedown is already viral. By tomorrow morning, your name will be synonymous with fraud. Your friends, those judges and senators you mentioned, will be distancing themselves so fast you'll think they never knew you. Ashford's face goes through a final transformation. The rage burns out, leaving something hollow behind. He's looking at Maya, but he's not really seeing her anymore. He's seeing his future, trials, prison, the destruction of everything he's built. Maya leans in slightly, bringing herself to his eye level. When she speaks, her voice is soft enough that only he can hear it, though the microphones will catch it later. My sister's nonprofit reopens Monday. The judge already approved using your seized assets for restitution. Those 300 kids you displaced, they'll get their programs back. With your money, every dollar you stole from children will go back to children. That's justice, James. Real justice. Not the kind you can buy your way out of. Something breaks in Ashford's eyes. He lunges at her one more time, a desperate, impotent gesture. But the agents are ready. They pull him back, and this time when he screams, it's incoherent. Just rage and fear, and the sound of a man who's realized he's lost everything. Get him out of here, Chin orders. They drag Ashford toward the service entrance, not the grand front doors where reporters are already gathering, but the back way, the staff exit. The route Maya's taken every day for 3 years. There's something poetic in that. As he's pulled past the kitchen, past the other servers who are now revealed as federal agents, Ashford screaming, "You'll pay for this. All of you. I have friends. I have power. This isn't over. This isn't." The door closes. The sound cuts off. And then there's just silence. 200 guests sit frozen, trying to process what they've just witnessed. The carefully constructed evening, the charity, the gala, the performance of goodness, has shattered into something else entirely. Something real and raw and impossible to look away from. Elena and Maya stand in the center of the ballroom, surrounded by FBI agents and shocked socialites and the ruins of James Ashford's empire. And finally, the sisters look at each other. "You never told me," Maya whispers. "You went undercover," Elena says. "So did I." "For how long?" "Since the day after we closed. Since the day Marsh offered me the money." Elena's voice shakes slightly. "I couldn't risk compromising your investigation. And you couldn't risk compromising mine. So we just hunted him separately." Maya starts to laugh. It's inappropriate given the setting, the gala in ruins around them, agents processing a crime scene, guests fleeing toward exits, but she can't help it. The absurdity of it. The two of them, circling the same prey from different angles, never knowing they were protecting each other. Elena starts laughing too, and then she's crying, and then they're embracing in the middle of the ballroom while camera phones capture every moment. "Is it over?" Elena whispers into her sister's shoulder. "Is it really over?" Maya holds her tighter. "It's over." Outside, through the grand windows, red and blue lights paint the night. More FBI vehicles, news vans. The world is descending on Belmont Estate to witness the fall of a billionaire. Inside, Maria, Maya's coworker, approaches slowly. She's taken off her server's vest too, looking lost and confused and overwhelmed. "Maya." Her voice is small. "What just, you're a journalist?" Maya turns to her, and the guilt is visible on her face. "I'm sorry I lied, but I documented everything he did. To you, to everyone who works here. You'll all be able to testify if you want. Victims' compensation fund. Lawsuits. Whatever you need." Maria stares at her for a long moment. Then she steps forward and hugs Maya so hard it forces the air from her lungs. "Thank you," Maria whispers. "Thank you. Thank you. Thank you." Other staff members are emerging now. The real ones, not the FBI agents. Kitchen workers. Servers, the invisible people who've endured Ashford's abuse for years, who've swallowed his cruelty because they needed the paycheck, who've carried shame that was never theirs to carry. They surround Maya and Elena. Some are crying. Some are just standing there in shock. But they're all looking at the Rodriguez sisters like they've just witnessed something impossible. Agent Shin approaches, clearing his throat gently. Ms. Rodriguez, both of you, thank you. This case was 3 years for you, he nods at Maya. 18 months for me, and apparently 2.5 years for you, to Elena. I've been working on financial crimes for 23 years. This is the most comprehensive takedown of a fraudulent nonprofit I've ever seen. You built an airtight case from the inside out. What happens now? Maya asks. Now. Chun looks around the ballroom, at the evidence, the witnesses, the documentation. Now we process everything. Build the formal case. Ashford will be arraigned tomorrow. Given the evidence, he'll be denied bail, flight risk. The trial will take months, but with what you've provided, the conviction is certain. And everyone who donated? Elena asks. The people who gave money, thinking it was going to help kids. Restitution where possible. But honestly, Chen's face shows something like sympathy. Most of that money's gone. Spent. Laundered. What we can recover will go to a victims fund. Legitimate children's charities that lost funding because of Ashford's fraud. He pauses, looking between the two sisters. What you did, both of you, most people wouldn't have had the patience. 3 years is a long time to maintain a cover. To keep hunting when you're not seeing results. He destroyed our family's work, Maya says simply. We had time. Chin nods, understanding. He's probably seen it before. Victims who become investigators, who channel their trauma into something useful. The ones who don't just survive, but fight back. The ballroom is emptying now. Agents are collecting evidence, taking statements. Guests are being interviewed as they leave. Did you see anything? Do you have recordings? When did you first suspect, turning witnesses into part of the case? The Children's Future Fund banner still hangs behind the stage, that ridiculous handprint reaching toward the sun. Agents take it down carefully, bagging it as evidence. Every piece of Ashford's carefully constructed lie, dismantled and cataloged. Maya and Elena stand in the center of it all, surrounded by the wreckage of their enemy's life, and watch the beginning of justice. What now? Elena asks quietly. Maya looks around the ballroom. The venue she's cleaned for 3 years, the stage where Ashford performed his philanthropy, the camera she installed to document his crimes. Her ballroom, her evidence, her case. Now, she says, we rebuild. 6 months later, Maya Rodriguez stands in front of a mirror in a hotel room that costs more per night than she used to make in a week as a waitress. She's adjusting a dress, navy blue, professional, the kind of thing you wear when you're about to accept a major journalism award. Her hands shake slightly as she smooths the fabric. Behind her, reflected in the mirror, Elena sits on the bed watching. The sisters have barely been apart since that night at Belmont Estate. Some bonds, once forged in fire, can't be easily broken. You ready? Elena asks. Maya turns from the mirror. I documented a billionaire's crimes for 3 years. I think I can handle an award ceremony. But her voice betrays her nerves. This is different. This isn't hiding anymore. This is standing in front of the world and claiming what she's done, putting her name and face to the investigation that brought down James Ashford's empire. The Pulitzer Prize nomination was announced 3 weeks ago. Best Investigative Journalism. The Children's Future Fund fraud. A 3-year undercover investigation by Maya Rodriguez. The documentary has been viewed 42 million times. The New York Times published her written account in a 12-part series that crashed their website from traffic. James Ashford sits in a federal prison, denied bail, awaiting trial on 73 counts of fraud, money laundering, racketeering, bribery, and assault. His assets, all $240 million, have been frozen, seized, being redistributed to the charities and individuals he destroyed. But that's not why Maya's nervous. She's nervous because tonight, for the first time since this all began, she has to be Maya Rodriguez the person, not Maya Rodriguez the role. No more apron. No more invisibility. Just her, standing in the light, claiming her truth. Come on, Elena says, standing. We're going to be late. They arrive at the venue, the grand ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria, because apparently journalism awards happen in the same kind of spaces where billionaires used to throw galas. The irony isn't lost on Maya. Inside, the room glitters with the same performative elegance she remembers from Belmont Estate. Crystal chandeliers, designer gowns, important people congratulating each other on being important. But the energy is different somehow. These aren't people performing charity. These are people who've dedicated their lives to uncovering the truth, to holding power accountable. Still, Maya feels like an imposter. A hand touches her elbow. She turns to find Agent Richard Chun, Special Agent Richard Chun, in a tuxedo that somehow makes him look even more authoritative. Ms. Rodriguez, he says formally, then softens. Maya, good to see you. Agent Chun, I didn't know you'd be here. The Bureau wanted representation. Your investigation did more to expose nonprofit fraud than a decade of our traditional work. He pauses, glancing around the room. Also, I wanted to see you win. I haven't won yet. You won 6 months ago, Chin says quietly. This is just everyone else catching up. The ceremony begins. Maya sits between Elena and a reporter from the Washington Post who covered her story and won't stop asking questions about her methodology, her sources, and her mental state during the investigation. She answers politely, mechanically, her attention split between the conversation and the stage where awards are being announced one by one. Feature writing, commentary, breaking news. Each winner approaches the podium, gives their speech, and holds up their plaque for photos. Maya's category is last. Investigative journalism. The most prestigious. The one that matters. When they announce the nominees, Maya's photo appears on the screen behind the stage. It's the press credential photo from that night. Her face serious, determined, no smile. She looks like someone who's been hunting. The other nominees are announced. Veteran journalists. People who've been doing this for decades. People who probably think Maya Rodriguez is just some upstart who got lucky with a big story. Maybe they're right. The presenter, a Pulitzer winner from 15 years ago, opens the envelope, pauses for dramatic effect, and the winner is Maya Rodriguez for the Children's Future Fund fraud, a 3-year undercover investigation. The room erupts. People stand. The applause is deafening. Maya sits frozen. Elena grabs her hand, squeezing hard enough to hurt. Go, her sister whispers. Go. She stands on legs that don't quite feel stable. Walks toward the stage through a sea of standing people. Camera flashes creating a strobe effect that makes everything feel surreal. This can't be real. This can't be happening to the girl who spent 3 years serving champagne to people who didn't see her as human. But it is. She reaches the stage, accepts the award, heavier than she expected, solid and real in her hands, approaches the microphone. 2,000 people look up at her, waiting. Maya takes a breath. 3 years ago, she says, and her voice doesn't shake, my sister's nonprofit collapsed. 300 kids lost their after-school programs because donors redirected their money to a charity that sounded better, looked better, and felt better to support. A charity run by a man who was very good at seeming like a savior. She looks out at the audience, finds Elena in the 3rd row, crying openly. I could have written an article, exposed him quickly, But quick doesn't always mean thorough, and thorough is what justice requires. So I became invisible. I became the helper. I served drinks to people who treated me like furniture. I documented 3 years of cruelty, fraud, and systematic abuse. And I did it because someone had to. The room is completely silent now. This award isn't mine alone. It belongs to every person who's been made invisible by people in power. Every worker who's been abused by their employer and couldn't speak up. Every victim who's been paid off to stay quiet. Every whistleblower who risked everything to tell the truth. She holds up the Pulitzer. This is for them. For everyone who's been told they don't matter, that their story doesn't count, that they should just accept how things are. Maya's eyes find Agent Chen. And it's for the people who work within broken systems to fix them, who spend years building cases that actually stick, who doesn't give up just because justice is slow. She sets the award on the podium. James Ashford stole from children, from families, from people who trusted him. He did it because he believed he was untouchable, that his money and power made him immune to consequences. He was wrong. Now her voice hardens, and he's not alone. There are thousands of James Ashfords out there. Philanthropists who use charity as a tax shelter. Businessmen who abuse their employees behind closed doors. People who've learned that if you seem good enough on the surface, no one looks deeper. She picks up the award again. So this is also a warning. We're looking. We're documenting. We're patient. And we don't forget. The applause starts slow, then builds like a wave. By the time Maya leaves the stage, the entire room is on its feet. 3 weeks later, Maya stands in front of Belmont Estate. It looks different now. The grand entrance has been repainted. The sign that used to say Belmont Estate, private events, now reads the Harbor Community Center. Elena's nonprofit, the Children's Harbor Foundation, rebuilt from ashes, operates from the ballroom where James Ashford was arrested. The irony is poetic. The justice is real. Inside, the space has been transformed. Where crystal chandeliers used to hang, there are now basketball hoops. Where guests used to dine on $5,000 plates, kids now eat free hot lunches. The kitchen where Maya used to polish silverware now serves 300 meals a day. Maya walks through the space, and this time, no one treats her like she's invisible. The kids know who she is, the lady who caught the bad guy. They've made her drawings, given her handwritten thank you notes, and asked for her autograph like she's someone important. She finds Elena in what used to be Ashford's private dining room. It's now an administrative office, walls covered with program schedules and donation tracking sheets, and photos of smiling children. Elena's on the phone, negotiating with a supplier, and she looks happier than Maya's seen her in years. When she hangs up, she notices Maya in the doorway. Hey, what are you doing here? I thought you had that interview with 60 Minutes. Rescheduled. I want to see the place. Elena gestures around. What do you think? We're at full capacity now. 317 kids enrolled. After-school programs, tutoring, meals, weekend activities. Everything we had before, plus more. Funded by Ashford's seized assets. $32 million in restitution so far. The judge says there might be more once they finish unwinding all his offshore accounts. Elena shakes her head, still amazed. We're using his stolen money to help the exact kids he pretended to care about. It's almost too perfect. Maya moves to the window. From here, she can see the playground, newly installed, children screaming with joy as they play. Beyond that, the garden where Ashford used to take his important calls has now been converted into a community garden where families grow vegetables. He destroyed this place, Maya says quietly. Corrupted it. Used it for his own gain. And now it's helping people for real, Elena finishes. You did that. We did that. Elena comes to stand beside her sister, both of them watching children play in a space that used to be reserved for the wealthy elite. What's next for you? More investigations? Another undercover job? Maya considers. Since the Pulitzer nomination, she's been offered positions at every major news organization. Book deals, speaking engagements, documentary series. Everyone wants a piece of the journalist who took down a billionaire. I think, she says slowly, I want to help other people do what we did. Teach investigative techniques. Show workers how to document abuse. Give people the tools to hold power accountable. A school, maybe, or a nonprofit. Something that makes it easier for the next person who sees corruption and wants to do something about it. Elena nods, understanding. The Rodriguez School of Taking Down Bad Guys. Maya laughs. We'll workshop the name. They stand in comfortable silence, watching kids play in the ruins of their enemy's empire. This is what justice looks like. Not just punishment, but restoration. Not just taking down the corrupt, but building something better in their place. The final scene finds us in that federal prison where James Ashford sits in a cell that costs taxpayers $150 a day. He's wearing orange now instead of bespoke suits. His silver hair is growing out, showing gray roots. He looks older, smaller, diminished. He's watching television, news coverage of the Harbor Community Center's grand opening. Maya and Elena are cutting a ribbon. Children running through doors. The reporter, explaining how the Rodriguez sisters turned tragedy into triumph, used one man's fraud to rebuild what he destroyed. Ashford's cellmate, a man convicted of insider trading, glances at the screen. That's the place that took you down. Ashford doesn't answer, just stares at the screen, watching his former venue filled with the children he pretended to care about, funded by the money he stole, run by the women he underestimated. The cellmate shrugs, changes the channel. But Ashford keeps staring at the blank space where the image was, seeing ghosts. He is a man who had everything and lost it all because he believed the help wouldn't notice, wouldn't care, wouldn't fight back. He was wrong. And now he sits in a cell, finally understanding that the woman he never bothered to see was always the most dangerous person in the room. You just watch justice happen. Not the quick kind, the thorough kind. The kind that takes 3 years of invisible labor. The kind that requires someone to notice, to care, and to fight back even when no one's watching. These stories matter because they prove it's possible. But they only reach people when we share them. When we refuse to let them be buried. If you want to be part of ensuring stories like Maya's get told, that accountability journalism continues. That investigations like this keep happening. Subscribe. It's how this work continues. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway from this story. Was it the patience? The parallel investigations? The moment Ashford realized he'd been wrong the entire time? And if you believe corruption should have consequences regardless of how rich someone is, hit that like button. It's a small action that says, I'm paying attention. I'm a witness. I won't look away. Because people like Ashford, they're betting we will. Let's prove them wrong.